This year's IAE funding is a lot lower than it has been in a pretty long time. You can actually see the chart here on screen right now that I have up just to see for yourself. Is this the death knell of Star Citizen? Is the money finally drying up? Are people done spending money on another man's hopes and dreams? Well, I'm going to give you my opinion in this video, and then you can give me yours in the comments. Without a doubt, there are some opportunistic vultures out there, as loud as they always are, who will say that the number one cause for this is master modes. And then they will, of course, cite the changes coming to master modes. I will always stand by that it is the vocal minority who are upset with master modes. I will also say that master modes is interpreted and means a lot of different things for a lot of different people. And people will either like it or dislike it for various parts of the system. For example, I like it for the slower speeds, and that is to me what it represents, is a slower, more intimate, closer combat and player accessibility. Whereas I would dislike it for the uneven and uneasy nav mode switching. Regardless of what you do or do not like about it, it is going to be getting changes. However, I do not think that that is the cause for the negative funding. This video is not going to be all about master modes, but it's going to be a small portion of this video because it is the elephant in the room.
Hornet in the room.
Address in the room here, master modes.
Master modes as a system was always going to be changed, and recently in an IAE video, they discussed some of the changes. Unsurprisingly, like most videos that CIG releases, it doesn't really tell you a whole lot of anything. The most important piece of information I got from it in terms of changes was weapons no longer being disabled in nav mode. I've said for a while that I did not like this, and this does not come as a surprise to me at all. Several months ago on another Discord, Yogi said the following, and I'm putting it on the screen here. He says, and I quote, "The transition stuff between nav and SEM will change. Chris Roberts himself requested actually changes there, so it will get reworked. Probably after CitizenCon and 4.0 are out." So this is why this was not a surprise to me. And as we all know, this game is being made for Chris Roberts, and what he wants he gets. This is not being made for you and I would even probably say that our feedback probably doesn't matter, and I will also cover that in the next video about the master mode changes coming up. Now, does that mean that master modes was not a reason that people did not buy things? No, not at all. I'm sure there are people out there that really just don't like MM at all, and as a result, they didn't spend any money on anything. I would also say that there really wasn't anything worth buying at IAE this year. You had more Hornet variants, you had a Terrapin medical variant, you had another starter ship, and you have a concept for a gunship. Nothing really just out there to grab you, nothing really that interesting that people just don't already have. So in that case, what's the cause? What do I think it is? Well, I'm going to tell you. The first reason, I think, is because of how poorly CIG has handled Multicrew. And I think that a lot of players out there want to fly these bigger ships. They want to be in these bigger ships. Whether it's for doing industrial work or combat work or whatever it may be. These are the ships that players want to be in. They are the draw to Star Citizen. Not this small Bushido fighter spaceship garbage that you see people touting and talking about. No, they're talking about the bigger ships. Something that they fly with a friend or more, or a bigger ship that they can fly on their own because they just want the safety and security and ease of flight of a bigger ship. Well, CIG has basically told these people that you are not going to be able to fly that unless you crew it with NPCs or AI blades, neither of which are going to be out anytime soon, and it won't be ready until after 1.0. So they are left with one of two options. One being, well, don't fly your big ship, or two, go find friends and fly them. Now, it's easy for you and I to sit here and say that, especially me, because I have access to people who will be in my ship and who would gun or fly for me, whatever it may be, but I am not the average player. Not every player enjoys that luxury, and it is what it is. It's a luxury. And it's not fair to them that they simply can't fly these types of ships. And before you or anybody goes out there and says, oh, well, just look for somebody in chat to come do it. Look for anybody in chat. Look for some randoms. Pick up a group. Get a stranger. Are you playing the same game that I'm playing? Because this game has decided, and this will lead into point number 2, this game has decided to go down the route of the low trust EVE Online / DayZ society type of game, where everybody is potentially your enemy, who's going to kill you and take your stuff and laugh at you and make a YouTube video montage of it and call it piracy. So you expect me to go out there in a factionless game where I cannot trust anybody but myself and ask a random person to crew my ship? It just takes one bad interaction with somebody who says, yeah, I'll do it, for that person to never want to do that again. And I'm as guilty as charged. If you go back on my older YouTube videos, you will find, me sneaking on board of Carracks or even Tor ships and destroying the ships and killing the entire crew because I was just a bad actor and a liar. Pilot's dead.
Second torpedo coming in. Destroyed this fast.
Yeah, baby! That's the type of game that Star Citizen is creating. So no, people aren't going to do that because it's a factionless game with PvP. And these ships require a crew, and your crew might be made up of people you can't trust. So no, people just aren't going to go find a crew. Which then leaves them with getting AI blades or NPC crews, which I said earlier, aren't coming anytime soon. So you've just knocked out a significant chunk of your player base who's willing to spend money on the most expensive ships in a game. Why would they ever buy an A2 or a Hammerhead or a Javelin or Idris, whatever it is, if they know that they will never be able to effectively use it? Dear viewer, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the Javelin sold out this year. For real cash anyway. They always sell out for the store credit, but I don't think it sold out for real cash this year. And if it did not, that should tell you everything you need to know. The second and perhaps biggest reason that funding is down this year is because I don't really know who this game is being made for right now. It's seeming just like EVE 2.0 with Rust and DayZ. Now, I'm not an original backer, so I don't have that level of investment in the game's original vision because the game's original vision simply did not appeal to me. It was only when they started talking about combined arms and infantry / aerospace combat that I really got invested into it. But then after watching CitizenCon for last year and now this year, especially this year, I saw a game that I still want to play and I believe that my organization will do well in and have some success in. But I see a game that just looks like EVE with ship interiors. EVE Light, EVE 2.0. And I don't like EVE. I'm not an EVE player. It's not my kind of game. Or I see a survival game or GTA in space or Rust or DayZ. It's not the MMO world that I thought the game was going to be. It does, to its credit, have some things in common with Star Wars Galaxies, which is a positive, but that's also an uncertainty. That is a bigger uncertainty than this game just being EVE 2.0 or Rust in space. And I don't think a lot of players want that. I don't think that's what they signed on for. So I think that might be a significant chunk in why the funding is down. It just goes right back down to that uncertainty. And the third and final one, and this ties into both 1 and 2, is I don't think this game has anything for the casual or solo player. And we may mock them and laugh at them all the time. I know I'm guilty of this. I'll go ahead and say it. But I'm not ignorant to their importance and their significance in gaming. I would even say that I'm an ally of the casual player and to a degree the solo player because I know how important they are to the ecosystem of the game. These are the people that will do your crafting, that they will do your mining, your hauling, whatever it may be. And according to CitizenCon, when they talk about endgame, all they talked about were giant orgs controlling systems, and despite the fact that I'm in a pretty big org that plans to do stuff like that, it doesn't sound like a great thing for the game, in my opinion. And they talk about just players running the economy and PvP all the time. And I'm a big PvP player too. So unless you're a player that's in a mega org that wants to own a station and control space, there's really nothing in Star Citizen for you, or at least there's nothing going to be in the game for you. And since the game is essentially becoming EVE 2.0, it's becoming a low-trust society of a game. Well, most humans probably do not want to live in a low-trust society, and I don't think most players want to play a game that is a low-trust society. And that's what essentially the EVE 2.0 model is. So if you combine all these issues, number one being the multi-crew issue, you can't fly your ship unless you're with a group of real players, with number two being that the game is essentially EVE 2.0, low-trust society, join an org or die kind of environment where you can't do anything without an org, without a group of players you trust. What is there for you to do in Star Citizen? Fly around in a starter ship and pick up and put down boxes? I'm all about orgs, and I don't think orgs or communities who play these games should be punished. I want to be very clear about that, because you guys probably know this is what I do. It's why I play games. But in this case here, I feel like the individual solo player or the casual, especially the casual, is being ignored way too much. And they're being gated out of content. And maybe that reflects in the funding. Because why would they buy those big expensive ships if they can't use them? Oh, and real quick, I guess maybe this is the final one, and I thought it would go without saying, but the game just doesn't work, right? Have you tried to play it? Have you guys tried to do anything this year at all? The game has just been a friggin' mess. It doesn't work. It's such a waste of time to log in and try and do anything outside of, like, messing around in Arena Commander. That's all I do. I get ill trying to log in to the PU and do anything. The game is now probably in the worst state it has ever been performance-wise. So maybe that's actually the biggest reason, and everything else I talked about doesn't matter. Or perhaps this just ties in with all of everything that I said. What do you guys think? What's your opinion? Hit me up in the comments, and as always, please come on our Discord. We're always looking for a good conversation on there. You're welcome to be yourself. We don't moderate too heavily. And if you want to, you can even join our org. Because, you know, this is the kind of game this is.